All right, guys, welcome back to another video. Kick off this week. We have lots of things to talk about. Starting off here with confirmation about how big 2024 is going to be for Xbox. And of course, that's barring any delays or anything like that. But if you're looking at now between the end of the year, you got Call of Duty Black Ops 6, you got Microsoft's Flight Simulator 2024, you have Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. So we're ending off 2024 huge, and 2025 is going to be even bigger potentially here, or as big at least, because you're also getting next year's Call of Duty for Xbox first party. We'll talk about that, plus some more information about OD from Kojima and Death Stranding, and some other things to go over. But before we continue, if you do enjoy daily gaming news and content, make sure to hit that sub, hit the subscribe, like the video if you enjoyed it, and check out my Spotify. Link is in the description. So we have this report here that Xbox has affirmed Avowed, South of Midnight, Doom the Dark Ages, Fable, and more are coming from first parties in 2025, which is just an absolute huge slate of games already with those four. And then you think about the other stuff that we don't know about. Call of Duty next year that will be coming out as well. 2025 is looking is going to be a massive year. I mean, 2024, once it's all said and done, I think is going to be a massive year. But now we're at that point where Xbox is hitting their stride, where I think they can start delivering on that promise of at least one first-party game every single quarter. And now with the amount of studios that they do have, it's going to be more than that. I do hope that they do manage when they release their game, so it's not all crammed to the end of the year, kind of like what we are seeing this year. Yes, we got Hellblade 2 earlier in the year, but that was one game, and they could have spread out the releases of their first party content. Maybe it's at this point right now in 2024 because the games weren't ready, but going forward, I would say get the games ready, have them in the cooker, and then spread them out throughout the year, so there really isn't a gap in any quarter for a first party Xbox game. That will be huge for Game Pass and huge for the ecosystem going forward, is going into next generation, going into potentially having a handout. All of the stuff will be very important. So that is exciting. And I hope that this does end up coming true, that all four of these games do release in 2025, and then whatever else they have on their slates to play. I mean, the backlog, although it's growing, it's always important to have these releases to bring up the hype for the Xbox ecosystem. All right, jumping over here, let's talk about Hideo Kojima and OD. As you know, this is a game in development with partnership with Xbox, with their global publishing division. And this is going to, I believe, be exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem, at least at the start. So this will be a huge release here for Xbox, because you would always think of Kojima and you think PlayStation. I mean, that's where he's done his other exclusivity deals. He's done Death Stranding with them. And we have some more information here about this game. And we know Kojima and his brain and his stories and his creativity is always just over the top and crazy. But he says this: it's a game like no other. I wanted to do something new that wasn't Death Stranding, so I teamed up with Microsoft to create OD. So specifically, quote, at the same time, I wanted to do something new that wasn't Death Stranding, so I teamed up with Microsoft to create OD. This is a game, but it's a game like no other. I can't go into too much detail. It's also hard to explain, but it's a bit risky and a new challenge for me within the realm of games. There is also another project, Fizzant, and espionage game, but it's still in the early concept stage. So first, I created a game IP as an indie company. This part is important because no one believes me when I tell them I'm indie. So two things there, pretty interesting. OD, going to be like nothing we've ever seen. And I would say Death Stranding was pretty much along those lines. It was something completely different. Now, I didn't like Death Stranding. I'm not a fan of the game. I'm not looking forward at all to Death Stranding 2. I probably won't end up playing it. I thought it was very boring to play, but it was definitely different. I will give Kojima that. It was definitely out there. It just wasn't for me. For OD, I'm not that excited either, because if I'm looking at Death Stranding and what he did, and I wasn't a fan of that, so I can't be out here expecting something to blow me away that I will love with OD, but I'm sure it will be very creative, very over the top, very different, and hopefully something more along the lines that I will enjoy versus Death Stranding. From a little bit that we have seen about this game, it does look like it will be interesting. It's going to have a lot of production value, probably be very visually stunning, especially in the characters and the character designs, because they are very good at that, especially with the actors that they have. So we will see. And we can kind of base this off as well what we are seeing with Death Stranding 2. We did get an announcement here that Death Stranding's 2 release date is decided, but they can't reveal it, and it should be coming in 2025 when we will know when this game does release. They say, since we are talking about 2025, it will be released next year, so we will announce it at some point next year, but due to some unforeseen circumstances, we can't announce it today. So if you're wondering when Death Stranding 2 is going to be coming out, 2025 is looking like that's when it's going to be. And we have some more info here with some gameplay elements for this game. Again, this is why this game doesn't interest me, because I don't care about this whatsoever. But for people out there who love the universe and love the characters, I think this will be pretty exciting. There is a photo shoot event and an in-game dance number within Death Stranding 2. And some of the stuff that they did show off here, I have to say, like, graphically is pretty crazy when you zoom in, and it really makes a photo mode evolution that we haven't really seen in games before. So here it is. You can see the characters dancing around and they're moving as you're taking this photo. And then when the photo is taken, you'll see here, it prints it out in a Polaroid style, but just looks very, very cool. So if you're into that stuff, I mean, you will be happy to hear about this. Again, I couldn't care less about this type of feature in a video game. And then we have this, which again, if you're a fan of this game, will be big. It is the first public release of game footage, and it features the music of Daichi Miura, appears in the video Horizon Dreamer. They say will be available at midnight. So this is kind of, I mean, it's just completely different, right? You don't really know what's going on here, but if you're a fan of Death Stranding 2, there's more information coming about that, and the game should be coming out here in 2025. Now, when it comes to God of War Ragnarok on PC, one of the things that we talked about last week was a mod that allowed you to work around the PSN requirement, which is one of the most annoying things with PlayStation and their PC releases, especially with these single player experiences, is forcing people to create a PSN. People don't want to do it, and there are many countries that get cut out because you have to create a PSN. So it definitely is an issue here, but PlayStation doesn't care. They want you locked into their ecosystem, and they're going to continue to do this. They're doing this as well with Horizon on PC. So it's not going away anytime soon, but there was some hope. There was a mod that was put out where you could circumvent the PSN creation until now, I guess you could say, because it is being taken away. It is being taken away here for the worry of potential legal action. Here is what the people behind the mod have to say. Nexus Mods here says, we've had a chat with the mod author about this and can confirm that the mod was removed due to a personal decision after it received significant traction, including coverage from prominent news outlets, to avoid any further action by Sony. Artorius UA is the person who put this mod out, and they say, hello, that was my personal decision because the mod has got too much attention. Even IGN and PC Gamer wrote an article about it. Thus, I thought that it would be better to remove it from public to avoid any potential threats from Sony's side. Even though the project never modified anything in memory related to Sony products, but better be safe than sorry. I am sorry that it happened, but I cannot really put myself into risk since it was unclear. Hopefully you understand. Peace. So they're not being sued by Sony as of right now or anything like that. They're just worried that that could happen because everybody now knows about this. And especially when you look at the recent events with Nintendo and Palworld and just Nintendo in general, with all the people that they sue, you could look at this and say, I mean, you may not want to take on that legal risk and that legal financial risk by keeping it up there, and probably just got a little bit scared and took it down. So still now PSN, got to sign in if you do want to play God of War Ragnarok, and you're going to have to sign in for future games that they do put out that are single player experiences where there really is no reason for you to have to, other than them wanting to collect your information and collect your data on the PC. Okay, let's jump back here and let's talk a little bit more about some Xbox stuff. ZeniMax Online Studios, we now know, I think we've known this potentially previously, but we have some more information here that their next game is an MMO. This comes via Timur222, who found a LinkedIn post from the senior programmer saying that implementing the database backend persistence services and the orchestration system for an unannounced MMO title working for ZeniMax Online. So that makes sense. I mean, they make, that's what they do there. And you think about the Elder Scrolls Online and how successful that has been. They're going to want to build off of that. I wonder what it's going to be. Is it going to be a brand new IP, or is it going to be an MMO in a universe that's been already established? Or maybe this is a spin-off of Elder Scrolls Online of some sort, and it's still considered the unannounced MMO title. We're not sure, but at the end of the day, it's just more games that are coming if you like MMOs. I mean, ESO, huge game for them. people love it. If you go in right now and play it, it is still fun to play, and they're adding content to it. So making more in those genres does make a ton of sense. Okay, let's talk about this because Jason Schreier spoke a couple of things here. First of all, on PlayStation and what their next big MMO game is, or their big live service game. And Xbox kind of calls Xbox out here. So first of all, Jason Schreier says that Horizon Online is Guerrilla's next product. So that is going to be the next thing that they're going to be trying to win on for games as a service, for always online, multiplayer, that type of stuff, which they need a big thing here. And it's very, very interesting. And it calls into more questions what's going on at PlayStation, because they canceled a game that I think would have done well, which was The Last of Us Online they were creating. They canceled Twisted Metal, which I think would have done decent as well with the whole nostalgia around it, and people really like that franchise. There's a TV show. There was a lot going for it. And instead of putting those out to try to get a win on the online service side of things, on the multiplayer side of things, they put out Concord, which is potentially the biggest failure in gaming that we've seen, with up to potentially $400 million that's being reported that they lost on that game. So it doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't make any sense even more now if their next game that they are going to go with is Horizon Online, because that's an established IP. And you would think that that one does make sense. So why wouldn't have The Last of Us been put out? Why wouldn't have Twisted Metal been put out? Why did they go with Concord, right? So we'll see what happens here. I think Horizon Online does have potential. It has a fan base already that's established. So there is a chance here that this one will actually do something good here for PlayStation. But if you're looking for the single player experience with Horizon 3, it looks like this one also may be a ways off. If they're working on an online product, they're probably not even close to being completed or even deep in development for Horizon 3. Now, when it comes to Xbox, he just calls out Xbox. It basically says they're in a mess. You never know what they're going to do. It says that also mentions Xbox is such a mess right now. I feel like their plan is changing every single year. They're talking about teasing handhelds now. So handhelds is what we have been talking about. But I disagree with this statement, especially from a major journalist, because if you've been following Xbox closely for the last number of years, where Xbox is right now, where they are going into the future, they've been saying this. This isn't anything new. And it's not like it came out of nowhere that they've been wanting to expand out their ecosystem to more gamers. Launching onto PlayStation, that honestly, with their multiplayer side of things, was kind of something that you could see them doing, which they did end up doing. And saying that they're changing their mind every year doesn't really make too much sense, when he also mentioned Indiana Jones going on to PlayStation, and then he had said previously that Xbox said it was never going to go on PlayStation, which again was not true. They had said that it wasn't part of those first initial 4 games, and that they were going to take it by a case-by-case basis and all of that stuff. I mean, you have to look into it. I've talked about this on my channel. It just kind of gets tiring, to say the least, have to go through all of that type of stuff. So I don't know if they're going to change their mind, but I think a handle does make a lot of sense, and going and expanding out their ecosystem to more people in a way where you can get access to your entire catalog makes a lot of sense if you can take it on the go and it's not just Game Pass. And I think that's where they're going to be going, a handheld and a at-home console, but we will end up seeing. So that was just some interesting stuff here that came out from Jason Schreier talking about Xbox and PlayStation. Now, Monster Hunter Wilds, we know, is going to be a massive game. It is in that release month of February, which is just jam-packed. And I think Monster Hunter Wilds, out of all the games being released, is going to be probably the most successful one, the best-selling and all that stuff, because this is a massive, massive franchise. I believe it's Capcom's biggest franchise. So one of the things with this game on console specifically is 60 FPS. It's a fast-paced game. You're going to want 60 FPS to play this. And we had seen previously when they were first showing this game off, they had locked at 30 FPS for the gameplay demos. And the question was, is this going to be what it's like when the game does release? My thought was no, because Capcom generally shows off their games in earlier states at 30 FPS. We've seen this with other games. And then when it does release on the console, it hits 60 FPS. And it looks like that is going to be the case unless something changes between now and the release. But they were showing off Monster Hunter Wilds at TGS, and it's locked to 60 frames per second on the base PlayStation 5. So you can expect that on the Xbox Series X and, of course, PS5 Pro. Series S will be a different question. I wonder if they will have a lower tier visual fidelity mode and still try to hit that 60 FPS. But on Xbox, on the Series X, PS5, you can expect this game to be at 60 FPS, which is a great thing. and I'm happy to hear that. PS5 Pro still not sold out. I think the price is having absolutely an effect here. I don't think this is a case of PlayStation just creating so many units that they will never sell out. I feel like that $700 price tag is showing that gamers aren't going to run out and buy this thing right away. The market, I would say, somewhat is speaking here, which I think is a good thing going into the next generation. If the PS5 Pro doesn't sell as well as PlayStation wants it to do, maybe we'll actually see a lower entry point into the PS6 and into the next Xbox. But it's still available in the UK, still available in the US, still available in Canada where I live last time I checked. So this has by no means has been selling out. And you know, a lot of scalpers went out there and probably tried to buy as many as they could. And that's another good thing about this thing not selling out. They may have to take a loss, which would be a great thing in my opinion, because scalpers, especially with the 30th anniversary, ruin purchasing these products for a lot of people. But right now, not selling out. I wonder if there will be a point where the PS5 Pro is unavailable once they do run out of their stock. Now, when we talk here about Remedy, and this one is something that I think to keep an eye on going forward for the industry, because I think one of the biggest players is Tencent. And a lot of people look at the console wars, they look at Xbox, look at PlayStation, look at Nintendo, but I think one of the biggest competitors that everyone should be wary of if you're in the industry is Tencent, as they are getting bigger and bigger and they're releasing better products, better games. I mean, you look at Black Myth Wukong, they backed that and how big that got. And now we have some more backing by Tencent as they've entered into a 15 million euro loan agreement with Tencent. So this says here that Alan Wake and Control developer Remedy has entered into a 15 million euro convertible loan agreement with Tencent. Remedy said the loan will carry an 8% annual non-cash interest rate and has fixed conversion rate of 27.2 euros per share. And they say, as we move forward, self-publishing, this financing will support us in developing and fully realizing the potential of the games we have in development and successfully carrying out the commercial activities, our next self-published games. Tencent's investment demonstrates strong confidence in Remedy's long-term vision and strategy. So Remedy is getting involved here with Tencent. Tencent is trying to invest into more developers, into more IPs, and to have more dominance over the industry. So that will be an interesting story to track as we move forward through the rest of this generation and going forward. Just how big is Tencent going to get? And they have a big advantage because they are Chinese. So they have that entire huge market that we saw them win with Black Myth Wukong. So they have a big advantage there over, I think, Xbox and PlayStation and stuff. Direct access to that market. But I'll end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.